Little Willie, not to be mistaken with my son, the genius. I've already explained this. I shouldn't have to explain it again. So anyway, if Lynn will come over here, I'll show you something. You see that? See that piece of tarp? I found that yesterday after I talked to you guys. Okay, so I'm digging this. We just had a rain. It shouldn't have been so dry, but of course it was. And it was like digging in concrete. It was like digging in an adobe brick. And I'm like, why is there so much clay here? And why is it so hard? And then I hit that. And I realized that what happened was Little Willie had planted bamboo here, timber bamboo. And and by the way, this is the way to do things like this if you have somebody who can run the equipment or you can run it yourself. I rented a
skid steer.
Yeah, skid steer. I rented a skid steer, and Meyer came and ran it for us. And he dug out that pond. He dug that pond there, and he used it to level some stuff out. Well, he also dug up his bamboo to take up on the mountain because I didn't want it here. One of the reasons I want to put this here, it's on the leach line. So it'll help the septic tank leach line, so that's just going to help it. It'll be on that leach field, same leach field. Okay, so what Little Willie did was apparently he dug the bamboo up, which he had the tarp around the bamboo, I think, to hold moisture in or something. He dug the bamboo up with the skid steer, and then he had a great big hole, so he filled it with the clay out of the bottom of the pond. So
it was
my
adobe.
dumb ass sat here with a pick and a brake bar all afternoon instead of doing what I finally did, which was wet it. And here's the difference. I don't know if you saw me struggling yesterday, but now it's wet. And as you can see, much easier to dig. And here's the thing, even when you know how to do shit like that and you know all about it, you sometimes forget because you're just, I get my head down and then it's like I'm trying to get something done. I don't always do it. My mother apparently had some dream that I got stuck in this hole because I put mud in it because she keeps telling me, don't get stuck in that hole. Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time I got stuck in a hole, but I'm
She sent me, she's worried, she wanted me to come out and check on you and make sure you weren't stuck in it.
In the hole. She had some kind of dream or something because she woke up being worried that I was going to get stuck in this hole. If I get stuck in this hole, we're going to be laughing out the other side of our face. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had one of those radically shit mornings because I just now got to this. I meant to get to this hours ago. But, you know, life and life on a farm. Last night I went out to work in the garden a little bit, and after I'd done all this, a goddamn huge ass freaking snake about this big around and God only knows how long goes sneaking out of the garden way too fast for me to get him because I didn't have anything to hit him with. And either it was a hog-nosed snake, which are basically harmless, eat rats and mice and shit, or because hog-nosed snakes stupidly, they evolved to look like poisonous snakes so that things would leave them alone. So they look just like freaking water moccasins at first glance. So I either have a huge freaking water moccasin or I have a hog-nosed snake. Either way, I don't want to be working in my garden and run off on it again, or run up on it and it decides to bite me. So I decided to weed eat today. All weed eaters suck. Do you know why weed eaters suck? Weed eaters suck because they're never built or engineered by people that actually run them. They're engineered by some stupid ass college boy who hires all his lawn work done. That auto feed on the line, that never fucking works, ever. So I spent what should have taken me 30 minutes and should have been completely finished. I worked on all freaking morning and it didn't get finished. And how does this relate to yesterday's rant about people forgetting the little people? Because remember I told you about the friend who got rich and famous and did exactly that? Forgot who she was and forgot everybody else that was ever friendly to her? The little dig she did to me, it destroyed what was left of my career. So why can't I afford a decent weed eater? Because people suck! That's why!
Oh my God.
Rich people suck! Everything that's wrong in my life, everything that's wrong in your life, everything that's wrong with this fucking country, it's all because rich people suck! And now, I'm gonna finish digging my hole. I'll see you in a little while. All right, so the hole's dug, barrel's in. And yes, it did not take me nearly as long to dig the rest of that hole as it did to dig it.
The first part.
Freaking first part of it. Okay, so the premium thing to put around this would be gravel. About, little pieces of gravel about that big, rock, stuff like that. I don't have that. And it's the apocalypse, and I'm broke. And the place that I would usually go to free gravel, they no longer let you do it. You used to go down to the river and get free gravel, now they don't allow it. So I would have to buy gravel, and first I'd have to get out, and as we know, I'm not getting out any more than I have to. So I'm going to use crap. The first thing I'm going to use, of course, is the crap that came out of the hole. Some of the gravels and rocks that came out of it already, the plastic that came out of it. Because all you really need is something that allows water to run out. If you just put dirt in this hole, the dirt is going to plug those holes up.
Right.
And then you're not going to get liquid going through.
Yeah, it'll just pack and it won't go
Okay,
through.
so what do I have? I have an assortment of crap. That's what I have. The first thing I'm going to put in, though, is some of this cement and brick that I have. That somebody got rid of and that I picked up. Because that's who I am. I'm going to throw that around there first. And then I'm just going to randomly start throwing this garbage in there. And then when I get done, I'm pouring a cement floor for the entire outhouse. So this will be covered with cement. So it won't perk up and come up there. It'll have to go out. Well, it can go out around the seat, of course, but it'll mostly have to go out the vent pipe that I'll put in.
Right.
We don't make trash, we use trash. So a lot of this is just jars and bottles and tin cans and shit. And you're like, well, the tin cans will rot. They will. But because I'm pouring a cement top on, by the time they rot, they'll just make little caverns.
Oh, just cavities, empty cavities, places for...
Yeah, empty cavities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, especially if I'm mixing them with glass and rubber and...
Things that don't rot.
Beer bottles. Gee, I wonder where those came from. I don't know. Beer bottles. Yeah, there's a lot of glass in there. So basically I'm just taking the glass, taking the lids off, throwing them in, throw the lids in too, it doesn't matter. It's a shitter, for God's sake. Some people can put a hole in the ground. I don't want to just put a hole in the ground because I want it to be as environmentally safe as it can be. Doing it this way, it makes its own septic system. Because it's in a barrel and because the barrel is above ground level, that means we would have to get a flood that would come up over this in order for it to get in there and be a problem as far as spreading shit. The water here never gets that tall, and here it doesn't flood at all, as we've already talked about. But I got, some stuff around here gets used over and over again. This was part of a feeder that I built for the goats. It worked really good. Then a billy goat tore it apart. Why did the billy goat tear it to pieces?
Because they're an asshole.
Because animals are assholes.
Yes.
And no animal on the farm is as big an asshole as the billy goat. So that just goes without saying. And we just stick all that shit down in the hole. kind of just random shit to try to make a, yeah, that one doesn't want to fit. I'm going to have to break that.
Oh, no. Make it
I know, right?
smaller junk.
Yeah, make it smaller, Jen. And you can see I tried to fix it when he first broke it by putting another piece of pipe in. So, and the pipe was recycled when I made it into the other thing. So, if you're a real recycler, you find that you recycle things over, and there's some things you just keep coming up with. It's like, oh yeah, I'm using that again for something else. Lots of rubber hose. Rubber hose is going to be really good for it because it's not going to rot, and it's going to adhere, and it's going to fill with water, and it's going to make a nice thing. Here is yet again one of the reasons that I don't often buy expensive things. Because I will decide that I'm just being a cheap bitch and go ahead and buy something expensive. And then when I do, the expensive thing doesn't last worth a shit. I have this spray system that I use. I've got a stand that I use, I showed it to you, that waters my whole garden. Well, a really good sprinkler works really good. But see right here? So this sprinkler costs 35 bucks. We left Tracy to take care of everything for the weekend. When we came home, Tracy had pulled it over and that piece broke.
Oh, jeez.
We'd had it maybe a month.
Yeah.
So now we have a $1 sprinkler. But now it's going to have new life in this hole. It'll help our shitter. Now you may be saying, why the hell am I building a shitter? Well, because you know what? I really think every homestead, every farm, any place really that can have one ought to have one. A lot more environmentally friendly. Every time you flush the freaking commode, you're flushing, depending on your style toilet you have, you're flushing anywhere from 3 to 5 gallons of potable water. What a waste. Also, my God, how nasty is that? We shit in our houses where we eat our dinner. That's just wrong. Much better to have a shitter. But we do have toilets in the house, like, you know, like everybody else. Just like the rich folks have, we have toilets in our house. But I want to have this. Okay, lots of reasons. Like I said, I already told you one of the reasons I want to get it, but also I want it because it will help us save water, and it will be a way to, you know, to do that. But also, I don't want to be tied in with any of the corporations. None of them. I want to be as sufficient from them as I have to. If they all of a sudden decide to charge $27 bazillion for water, which, if they get their way, deregulation will deregulate everything so they can just do whatever they want to us. If they do that, I don't want to have to be dependent on them for water. So my water system will work just fine to water my animals and to water me, and maybe even if there's enough water the garden. But you start flushing a commode, your water's gone that quick. So, and this is what I'm doing. I'm putting junk in my hole. Don't judge me! These are just stupid, I know. Okay, so now I've filled this in with that junk and plunder that you saw the other day. And then I topped it off with the ash out of the burn barrel. So it's got little pieces of aluminum and shit that didn't quite burn, and the ash makes a perfect filter for caca. Okay, so I'm getting ready to mix some cement, and now I'm going to put cement all over the top of that. Then later on I'll pour the floor on top of that.
And that's a
Now, so
60.
this is what I'm doing. So Jack and Shauna cleaned out their shed, and they had a bunch of odds and ends of paint, and he just brought them all over here. He asked first, because he said some of it I'm sure is just trash. Well, a lot of it was trash. There's a couple of cans I'm going to be able to use for paint. But here's the thing. Even old nasty ass paint can be used. As long as it's latex, should be latex. Okay, so I just dumped that in there. Now I'll take that tin and recycle it when they reopen the scrapyard. Okay, so here's another one. It's not good for paint anymore.
So it's going to color your concrete.
It'll color the concrete, which I don't care about at this point. If I wanted to color it though, that'd be cool. But what it does is it might kind of adds an elasticity to the concrete.
Oh, cool.
And actually makes it better. So, and you can, that way, that paint isn't going into anybody's groundwater. It's not going into the environment. It's going to adhere to the concrete. And when it does, that's going to get rid of it. And it's going to be useful.
That's awesome. Now that's a 60-pound bag of high strength.
That is actually a bag and a half.
A bag and a half?
Yeah. And I'm just going to basically mix this up, and then I'm going to pour it around. And I'll have Lynn come back later because she's in the middle of making cheese. So that's where we at today.
Now this is the concrete that covered up all of the ash under it, so that all your poop bubbles will just flow out below it.
Very good. Yep. And then this is going to be covered when she pours the floor, which she'll pour after she gets the walls in place and the walls hold the form. Thank you. Would you like to plug your channel?
Subscribe to me at TheWazZeb.
There you go.